Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer. This is Metatrona speaking. I have a video for you today that I wasn't sure if I was going to ever make this video because it was a lot of material and some of it doesn't feel useful, but other parts feel like if someone were to ponder it long enough, they would kind of garner books of knowledge from these little pieces. So here it is. I'm going to give it to you. So what happened, and I don't even know how this started because this has been going on for several months where I would be talking to Creator and Creator would take me into other dimensions and let me feel the energy there. And so I think I did it 3 or 4 times in order to get the information that I have. So I have information on dimensions 12 through 40. So, to the best of my knowledge, there are 40 dimensions, and the 40th dimension is where Creator is. Um, so I'm going to give it to you how I was given it, and that's actually kind of in backwards order. So we're going to start at the 40th dimension. So, like I said, some of these, because sometimes I see things, sometimes I don't, sometimes I just feel the energy. And so I'm doing my best to give you a description of how something feels. So it might be, like I said, it might be useless information, but I feel like at some point when we understand more about these dimensions, what I describe here is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that does. I see how she would have gotten that. But right now, we just don't have enough information to really line things up. And you'll have to decide if you think what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is symbolic or literal. I got the strong feeling on some of them that it was symbolic. I don't know if that is accurate or if it applies to all of them or not. So that's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to scroll on over to the 40th dimension. So I wasn't going to write anything about the 40th dimension because, hello, I'm not allowed in there. No one's allowed in the 40th dimension. It's for God only. And so God was kind of teasing me at one point. He's like, "Oh no, you can go to the 40th." And I was like, "Metatron, can I go to the 40th?" He's like, "No." Um, so yeah, so I asked if I would be destroyed if I went there. That's what I asked. And God's all, "No." And Metatron's like, "Yes, you cannot go there." So God tells me that the 40th, this is his interpretation, the 40th dimension is like God's bedroom. And God just wants, and so this is God talking. It's his bedroom and he likes his own space. So he's joking with me, but I'm just like, please don't take me somewhere. I'm going to be destroyed. So that's the 40th. Let's take a trip for these other ones. 39th dimension. Oh, and I should tell you, because the 39th dimension is the first one I'm actually going into. So every time before I would start going into these dimensions, God would make me like look up at him and he would like sprinkle some energy on me and it would change what I was energetically looking like. And so it would look to me like he had made me into like an angel with like gold glitter everywhere. But whatever he was doing was some kind of protection to allow me to very briefly, like a couple seconds, experience each of these dimensions without too much chaos happening. Um, so dimension 39, 39th dimension. It's tense. It's tense. I'm shaking at times. Very uncomfortable frequency. Feels like it's pushing me backwards. So these are the descriptions that you get on some of these because it feels so horrible that when it's just like, oh, just being pushed back by the frequency, I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's get out. Like people are not supposed to be in these dimensions. Oh, so that's the other thing. In my mind, before I started this little adventure, I always thought, oh, okay, you know, we belong in each of these dimensions, and the higher the number, the bigger the number, the better the dimension. Well, you're going to see, obviously, that's not true. I started off with 39, and I'm telling you how it's tense and uncomfortable, and I had to get out of there fast. So there are lessons in here for us. 38th dimension. I'm very tensed up, like I'm expecting to be hit hard by something. The vibration in the space, I can hear it. It's black. I'm like telling you the color of the vibration. It vibrates so tightly that I can't move. It's like being frozen from a frequency. So I got out. 37, 37th dimension. I'm sleepy. I hear water dripping. It echoes loudly. There's part of a mirror that you can look in and see someone else's life like it's a TV screen. There are waves in the air here. They push you around. So it's like this wave motion, and it pushes you around in this wave motion, even though you can't see them. You can feel it. This one actually creeped me out quite a bit because why the heck was I able to look into a mirror and see somebody else's life? Like, what is this place? So it was spooky, at least for me. Maybe it's not spooky once we understand more, but from my perspective, I was just kind of unsettling. 36th dimension. It sounds like ocean waves, and there are liquid waves that move me up and down. There's a buoyancy to the space. It makes me so sleepy. It makes me want to be unconscious. I hear voices. I hear my mother calling my name when I was little. It's like memories echo around in here. It's confusing because it feels like the present. So I have no idea what this is about. Again, I feel like as you guys listen to this, some of you are probably just going to intuitively know more about these places than me. Another reason for me to share it. So I literally heard my mom calling my name from when I was little. It's been like 30 something years since I've heard that. So that freaked me out. So I don't know if it's somehow dipping into the past in that dimension. He says no. I don't know. Anyways, there's that. I'm asking him if it's more like a memory space, like the dimension is the frequency of memories, and he's saying yes. So I guess it's not that crazy, right? Depending on what your memories are, if you have good memories or bad memories. Okay, so 35th dimension. This is uncomfortable. It feels like sparks are going off everywhere and kind of shocking me. It hurts a bit. It's chaotic. We leave. Your guess is as good as mine. 34th dimension. There's humming, a sound like something has a. It sounds like a sound machine is going on. I don't know if you guys know what a sound machine is. They help you sleep. They make those white noises. And then, but I say like gray noise, but kind of bassy. There's a bass noise to it. It's relaxing. It feels like we are inside someone's stomach, is how I'm first describing this, or body. It's a soft floor and a soft ceiling, but they are very pliable, like I'm inside a whale or something. So this is just me trying to grab for information. And I said, no, I'm in a womb. Holy cow. But where is God? God is the mother, is what I'm saying. I mean, obviously they're channeling things to me. I have no idea what I'm saying. This is the consciousness of souls before they are born. Is this whatever frequency that dimension is the frequency of unborn souls, and that's why I was felt like I was in a womb of a person. Okay. Did I skip? No, I didn't. Okay. 33. So 33, when we got there, it looked like space. So like, space in the sky. Like it was black, but stars are duplicated out, is how I'm describing this. Duplicated out like geometric patterns, like looking through a kaleidoscope. Those things where you like turn it and the picture kind of goes crazy. It's funny because I did this a while ago, so I'm gonna keep going with what I saw. But how I'm describing this is not, I'm not describing it well. Disorganized blob is what I'm referring to this entity as. A disorganized blob saw me, grabbed me, wanted to know why I wasn't one with them. It takes me and it puts me inside of it. I called for Metatron. No answer. I felt like I needed to organize the blob. So I started singing in a light language, in a voice that isn't mine. And the vibration of my singing organized the insides. And instead of a constantly moving blob, it was a changing geometric shape that was constantly bringing its insides out. It was like a sphere with many spikes, but it was much larger than me now. It's constantly getting a little bigger all the time. They explained to me that infinite things must always be increasing. So God must always be increasing, just like the universe is always increasing. There is no end to measure, it always grows. There is music that floats through the air and it changes the shape and the color of the things it touches. There is a repeating pattern. What is inside God is also what the environment is made up of. It's so this is me trying to explain this to you guys. It's like a fish that swallowed a fish that swallowed a fish forever. It's like an endless spiral. When God makes noise, it is inside him, but it is also created somewhere outside him in the environment, because the environment is a duplicate of his insides. So I know that was a lot for so many reasons. I think that disorganized blob was God. I mean, uh, I think it was a version of God, for lack of a better explanation, a version of the collective, because it was like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you part of me? You belong in part of me. And it was all chaotic. And then it's almost like I must have been using that light language that I was singing. It must have been, I forget, there's a certain frequency, the God frequency, 900 and something. And it's designed to like organize chaotic things. So I had to be singing in that frequency. What is it, 985, 963? I don't remember right now, to be honest. But anyways, like I said, some of these descriptions, there's a lot more to it than what I'm saying, but some of us just might be more able to detect that information than others of us. Okay, Dimension 32. It feels like there's too much gravity here, like I'm being pushed to the floor and I can't get up. We leave. 31. There's a loud but bassy vibration that comes in and out. It shakes everything when it's loud. It makes me feel nauseous, like I'm on a roller coaster dropping down. There's colored smoke coming from different directions, blocking the view. I'm nauseous. We leave. 30. There's strong vibrating up and down and a noise to match the frequency. It's like being stuck in a machine, is what I say. It's hard to it's funny because I did this a while ago, it's even hard for me to remember that particular one, what that felt like. 29. It's like drifting in ocean waves, but there's no water. It's light blue. It's rhythmic. It's relaxing, like swaying in the breeze. Solid items appear, black balls that drop on the floor and turn into poles that stretch from the floor to the ceiling. Nothing is permanent. It's like living in an etch-a-sketch where someone can erase anything at any time. Remember those etch-a-sketch toys where it's like you draw something, but then if you just tilt it, it just wipes the whole thing clean? It was kind of like that, where everything had a sense of impermanence. 28. Orange and yellow colors, like paint that has been poured on water and is constantly moving. It's uncomfortable, like someone is squeezing my face together from the sides, hard. Something shaped like a stuffed horse emerges towards me on four legs, green, blue, black in color. No details, no eyes. Questionable consciousness. I don't even know if this thing seems to be conscious because it's moving, but not very conscious and soulless is what I want to say. So I say it's kind of spooky, and then it just dissolves into paint. I ask Metatron if darkness exists here, and he says yes, that darkness is in all dimensions. I did not know this, but I should have. I just never thought about it. But that's interesting, right? That darkness is in all dimensions, because in my mind, darkness was only in like the lowest dimensions, and then as we got higher, that disappeared. But he's saying not so. 27. It's like being in ocean waves that make you queasy. It's not soothing, it's unsettling. So I got out. 26, I say it's similar to 27, so I just got right out because I hate feeling nauseous. 25. It's heavy here, like the air is thicker, like I would run and not get anywhere. It feels like a navy blue color, like velvet. Spirals are starting to open up on the floor. I ask Metatron if I can jump down in the spiral. He says no. I ask if it's a wormhole, like is this a portal that can take me somewhere? He says yes. So I asked him where it went, and he has me look up. And I'm like, "Oh, it goes to 40. It goes to the 40th dimension." He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, no one's supposed to be in the 40th dimension. Is this a mistake?" And he said, "Yes, this shouldn't be here." So I look at this portal and it kind of acts like a tornado. And after a while, it just stops spinning and it dissolves itself. But couple things here. Okay, one, you don't think of there being, quote, mistakes anywhere in creation. So let me clarify with him. He's saying that, okay, so I was clarifying, like, is this truly a quote mistake or did someone like maliciously create this? And he's like, no, someone maliciously created it. Um, okay, so that's different. That makes sense to me. Um, the other thing is the heavy air that feels like if you would run and not get anywhere. Think of like, have you guys had those dreams where you're trying to run and it's like you're running in water and it's like you're running as hard as you can, but you're going so slow? Were you in the 25th dimension? This is the question. Um, 24. So my guardian angel, Feywanel, who keeps my body safe, him, Michael, and Metatron are the ones that go with me when I'm doing these dimensional adventures. Um, so we go into 24, and the first thing I feel is Feywanel hold me back. And I asked him, like, is it unsafe? And he says, yes. And I'm like, Metatron, can you give me a visual? Because I can't see anything. And when I get the visual, I see open space, but I feel gravity, which is strange because when you're looking at open space, you think you're gonna like float, right? Like the astronauts. But it was open space, but I felt gravity. And so I asked him, I take a step, am I gonna fall? And they're like, yes. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're all done here. Like, what else? What am I gonna do here? So we left 24, 23. I start moving in different directions with my head, slowly, always moving. Air feels like liquid here. It was just really bizarre movements, and I was just not comfortable, so I left. I didn't really explore it much. Um, 22. It's dark like space, but things are made of glowing plasma here. I see a star and a planet, but they seem small, like props. It feels like looking at a picture in 3D instead of the real thing. A tiger that is see through walks towards me. It starts growing many heads, and then the body starts duplicating too. So now I have all these tigers that are see through. And so they just kind of bound away, disappear. It's almost like corrupt creations that malfunction go here. Something is not quite right with them. So I don't know what to make of that one. 21. It feels kind of sad here, which is strange when it's such a high vibration. Metatron explains that these dimensions are not linear the way we think of. Because the way I think of it, I think, oh, first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, and then all the way up, right, to 40. He's like, no, there's some way that these dimensions are twisted back on each other where you can be in, what was that, 21? You can be in the 21st dimension and it feels a whole lot like the third dimension. 20. When he takes me to 20, I feel us go straight up and then we spiral. And so I see that it's an open space, dimly lit, but at the end of it, it's like dark and foggy. And so I asked Metatron, because I only ask this because I feel brave when I'm with them. I'm like, shall we go into the darkness? Shall we go into the fog? And I'm only asking because I, you know, it's an energetic body and I think they're going to keep me safe. If it was my physical body, I'd be like, we are getting the heck out of here right now. I'm not that person that like goes into the danger all brave. So I was like, um, asking him, shall I go into the darkness? Feywanel grabs me super hard. He grabbed me so hard that it was like, absolutely not. You are not going in there. Under no circumstances are you going in there. He was like, mm-mm. So I was asking, okay, what's in the darkness? And so things start emerging from the darkness, and I recognize a tiger again. I have no idea what this meaning is. Maybe I should have looked up tiger symbolism before I did this. So hopefully somebody else will look it up and throw it into the comments. Um, so I recognize a tiger, but he is kind of wispy and kind of distorted, and the energy is fearful. Like the his energy made me feel fearful. It's like if there was a dimension just for fear, this would be it. No idea what that means. Okay, 19th dimension. There's pressure on my head and face. Faye Wanell pulls me to the side real quickly, like we're dodging something. I see beings moving towards me, and this is really hard to describe, and so I'm going to try to describe it. So I see beings moving towards me. They are brown. They look like, my best attempt at describing them would be they had this stick body, and then they had, two legs over here and two legs over here. And that's all they are, is just like almost like these long rectangles. And but they're huge. They're like way bigger than me. Way, way, way bigger than me. And their legs weren't like, it's weird when you go into these dimensions because nothing's really super solid. Like their legs weren't a certain length. They kept like getting longer as they would walk and then shrink as they would pull their limbs back. It was, I don't know, it was really strange. Their energy frightened me a lot. So Faye Wanell moves me suddenly again, and I ask him if we should go because I'm like, because I can't see them getting that close to me, but he can. And so he's like, yeah, we should go. And then as soon as they pulled me out, all of the information started coming to me. I was like, they were coming to take my energy. That's why they came out so quickly. It was almost like I was a piece of food that got dropped into their container and they'd been hungry for a long time and they all just came out to come see me, to come get their food. And so they were coming to take my energy from my soul. They are like parasites that bite down on souls and leech their energy. And so I thought Fayetteville was like, when he was moving me, I thought I was totally safe and there was no problem. As soon as I got back out, I started going like, God, I was like, they got me. Like it hurts on my collarbone. Like something latched onto me, and it hurt enough that I was like, okay, I need to stop. I need to sit here and be healed before I can continue on and get more information on these other dimensions. So I had to stop and sit there for, I don't know, 20 minutes and let them heal it up. But it's interesting that it's just mind blowing that when I go to these other dimensions or do these things in an energy form, I feel so safe and I feel so like invincible. I'm like, because it's just energy, it's not my body. You can't kill me." But that's not quite right because whatever is done to your energy will manifest into your physical. So they messed with my energy. I came back to my body and I was like, oh, that hurts. And then I don't know if my guides didn't fix it. I have no idea how something like that would manifest in the physical. I really don't. But they always just clean everything up for me. So let's see. Okay, so we did 19. So 18. This is where it starts getting kind of symbolic, or I think it's symbolic, or maybe it's been symbolic the whole time. 18. Something wraps around me tightly and constricts me. And I see like black snakes, but they're much thicker and longer. So it's almost like a really fast boa constrictor, those really big snakes. And so they wrap around me and it actually hurts a bit. Um, so I say, this feels like it's about freedom and restriction. Those who want to restrict the free will and power of others end up in this frequency, end up in this dimension. 18. The snake restricting me is symbolic, is what I say. 17. It looks like a mountain is on fire in front of me, but the mountain itself is a living being. Um, he is anger. These dimensions are symbolic for the type of energy that ends up here. If you die and return to Creator and you still feel angry, you will end up in this dimension with other angry energies until your frequency changes. Emotions are frequencies, and like attracts like. So, of course, however you feel, you're going to end up being around other energies that feel that way too. So that's 17. 16. Something pushes my face to the left and then the right. And it's like they just kept doing that. And so I was like, oh my God, this is annoying. So I got out of there. Um, but I just got the word manipulation. They're manipulating you like a puppet. So I think energies who like to manipulate end up in there. Okay, so that was 16. I'm going to do 15. So I'm grabbed. Gosh, this was weird. So in 15, I like go in there, and before I can see anything, one thing like grabs my face, and the other thing starts writing like with a marker on the side of my face. I never see them, but I feel violated and disrespected. I'm aware that this is where those in the mindset of, how do I, I'm trying to word this correctly. Basically, those who commit rape and never get out of the mindset of the frequency of committing rape. I'm aware that they would end up somewhere like this because this is a place, this is the energy of wanting to violate others. Um, so I asked Metatron because I'm like, geez, so people come, they incarnate, they make bad choices, they commit rape, they commit murder, they're angry, they're whatever. They end up in these interesting dimensions because that's just where they are pulled to because that is their frequency. And I was asking Metatron, so souls maybe wanting to get out of this situation, like if you're think about it. So if you're angry and you end up in the dimension where everyone's angry, you might be super mad, but you also still might be feeling like, dang, I just want to get out of here. And so I was wondering if souls sometimes request to incarnate in order to avoid spending additional time in the dimension that they are in. And he was saying, yeah, like it's possible for them to do that. But he was telling me, I'll take a step back. I'll tell you what I wrote here. So he told me, yeah, you can exit sooner. So just hearing about these different dimensions and hearing about how, okay, if you're vibrating at this frequency when you die, you're going to kind of end up in this space until you change your vibration. It kind of felt like different levels of hell, for lack of a better term. And I've always said that there is no hell because that's always what my guides have told me. And I think, in a traditional sense, That's very true. There's no place of punishment. There's no place of judgment. There's no place of you are stuck here forever. There's nothing you can do to leave. There's nothing like that. But in kind of the other flip side of it is, well, no one's judging you, but because you vibrate at this emotion, this is how the universe organizes where to place you. And so you do end up with other people like you. So it is kind of karmic, right? The rapist ends up with other rapists until they change their vibration. Um, so let me see what I have written. I say, but we can create. So there's no hell, but we can basically create our own hell, right? By by having by having low vibrational thoughts and behaviors and feelings and not resolving them ever, we will create our own hell essentially. Um, and so oh, yeah. So I was asking Benchon, like, okay, so if you end up here, you can get out by changing your thoughts or changing your thoughts to change your frequency. But I was just thinking that must be really hard to do once you're there. But Metatron was saying most souls are able to go to that frequency, realize they don't want to be there, and learn from it and get out of there, is what Metatron was saying. 14th dimension. I'm pulled around in a pattern that makes me think about what someone's stomach does when they throw up. It was almost like they were pushing me forward and pulling me back, but the way it was done, it just made me think of someone getting ready to throw up, which is weird. So I was trying to put an emotion to it. I was like, is this uncertainty? No, it's not uncertainty. This is anticipation of something bad. And they were using the throwing up one for me because I personally hate throwing up. So they were like, huh, what does Jennifer dread? Oh, she dreads throwing up. We'll show her that. So the emotion of the 14th dimension was dread, basically. 13. It feels like I'm on a roller coaster, a nauseous feeling, and erratic movements from whatever is in there. Anxiety is what 13 was. So 13 and 14, super similar emotions. And the last dimension that I'm going to give you is 12, but I'm going to hold my horses for a second. So 1 through 12 seems like it's where we want to end up. The other dimensions have a purpose, but I was not under the impression while I was in any of them that it was somewhere I wanted to be. Um, so before I give you 12, so we can end up in these dimensions, obviously, when we're dead. We can also end up in these dimensions when we're dreaming, when we're using drugs or using something that alters our consciousness, when we're in a coma, um, even, those times if you had like really high fever and you start hallucinating, or even people who have disorders in their mind where they hallucinate. I guarantee you they're drifting in and out of one or several of these places because these places are a trip. Some of them felt scary. Some of them were just really. I mean, here's the thing. I'm a very unique person in that I'm kind of a control freak. So I don't. Um, use anything to alter my consciousness. I never have. I'm not a fan of alcohol or um, drugs, even though I know a lot of them, especially now, can have a really beneficial purpose to help people have spiritual experiences. I'm not a fan personally, only because, like I said, I'm kind of a control freak. I don't want to end up in a different level of consciousness that I don't want to be in. I don't want to have a bad trip. So I just don't do it at all. Um, but yeah, so when you think about all these dimensions, think about the times you had some really wild dreams or you used something to change your consciousness, and it might match up with one of these. So 12 is one of the dimensions that we would want to go to. So I'm going to tell you how I saw it. But I think, I don't know, I think it's symbolic. Yes. Okay. So I get into 12 and it looks like, the equivalent of what my mind would think up for heaven. So I see a bunch of clouds and there are three small suns and they shine in the shape of diamonds. I'm elven. I'm in this like flowing, pale periwinkle dress. Um, my soulmate is there. He's wearing the same color as me. He's like dressed like an elven man. And we are sitting down and holding hands, and we're just looking at just this beautiful, peaceful clouds. It's almost like the ground is made of clouds too, right? It's very like stereotypical heaven. Um, so we're there, and I was asking him, I was like, in 12, in the 12th dimension, aren't we supposed to be one? Aren't we supposed to like combine back together? And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, but we can separate out. So I'm assuming 12 is some kind of heaven-like place, but I don't know, guys. Some of these were nuts. Most of these were nuts. And like I said, excuse me, I didn't know if I was going to show it to you guys or go over it with you guys or not. But I feel like, if nothing else, oh, it's kind of entertaining for a moment, right? If nothing else. But hopefully, there's little tidbits of interesting or helpful information in there. Um, I don't know. I don't like putting out stuff to you guys that I don't feel really confident that I understand it, but I'm trying to get into the place of, I'm going to put this out because I received it, and it doesn't matter whether or not I like it or whether or not I understand it or whether or not I can explain it. So that's where I am on this one. So if you ask me to explain anything, I have no answers, but I hope you were entertained, if nothing else. So this is everything I have, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.